Hi, friends. Welcome to another edition of Hatchet Chat. I'm here with my homie MC Snax. What's up, Snax?
What's up, yo? What up? How's it going?
We are doing Forgotten Freshness, but here's the thing. There's hella Forgotten Freshnesses, and a lot of fools don't know. Well, the Juggalos know that before the Island Forgotten Freshness Volume 1 and 2, there was an OG Forgotten Freshness that only dropped in the great state of Michigan. And I want to ask you, MC Snax, what's good with this? When did it drop? Let's talk about it.
Yeah, so it dropped August 22nd, 1995. And like you said, it kicked off the whole Forgotten Freshness series. There's several of them now, 6 now. And they served as a great way to collect a bunch of, special releases or unreleased tracks or the single giveaways that ICP did and release them as a compilation for Juggalos who never had a chance to hear them. And in the pre-internet days, it's, pretty cool because a lot of times if you missed a show or something and you missed that single giveaway, you wouldn't hear the song. So I think we take it for granted now how cool a compilation like this is. But back then, before you had the internet, it was your only way to hear a lot of these songs.
Well, and it's indicative of the fact that ICP would have these proprietary releases where you could only get them if you came to Hallowicked 2000 or whatever, like a CD, or we're talking about the Incredible Collection, which came out much later, which they only made 500 copies of. They really made sure to give the Juggalos what they wanted. And on Hatchet Chat, we bring you what you want with all the history of this flavor. So I was thinking an interesting metaphor was, sometimes you go to Disney World or Disneyland. The first time you go, you ride all the big rides. The second time you go, you ride, the rides that aren't as good, but maybe are interesting, have a shorter line, and you see all the other things that aren't like the main focus. Disneyland, when you keep going back, keeps getting fresher and fresher because you discover new things. And even though ICP and Disney have had a rocky relationship, I thought this was an interesting metaphor because I was listening to Forgotten Freshness original today, and it really took me back and reminded me, oh my gosh, the reason why I love this group so much is because they offer so much and they reward repeat listens, and you go back, explore, and get more and get all the connections. And like this episode, we can dive into some of that. But I thought it would be interesting to make a comparison with when we talk about, the apocryphal and non-canonical books of the Bible. There's books in the Bible that are considered not part of the canon by the Protestant denominations. For example, certain books in the book of Esther.
For sure. And, I think that ICP's discography is interesting like that because even as we're going back, we're discovering stuff and learning something new from releases that we've heard many, many times. So it's the discography that keeps on giving. For sure.
That's what's up. And what was the amazing album that came right after this? What did it precede? Because this is important, G.
That's right. This is the last actual project album before the Riddle Box. So it's getting time for that almighty third Joker's card.
That's what's up. All right, so let's break down the tracks. Track 1, Getto Zone, right?
Yes, sir.
So this was on Dog Beats. It wasn't on the Forgotten Freshness Volume 1 and 2 re-release. Why do you think this song wasn't on the Island re-release of this compilation?
That's a really good question. I actually don't know. I don't have a specific theory if they were just wanted a stronger track, from Dog Beats, if they didn't want to put the whole thing on there. But in my opinion, this is dope. So I don't have a good theory for why it didn't make it on the re-release. Do you know? What do you think?
I mean, it has probably some samples that Island couldn't clear. I don't know if they they cleared the George Clinton Dog Beats thing. I feel like they probably did. But
yeah,
no, I don't know.
Hard to say. They got that Rod Stewart sample. That probably would have been pricey.
And I did an episode on Dog Beats. Y'all can go back. It is the old format where less of an interview style. But that beat, that Do You Think I'm Sexy? It's interesting that another Midwestern band covered it. Ministry's side project, The Revolting Cocks, did a cover of this. So it's this era of the Midwest culture likes this song. And it's funny that it's, I don't know, I think this song, it's a surprising juxtaposition because it's a funny pop song, disco dance song with a gangster message. So it's time.
Exactly. It is. It's a dope track.
Last week we talked about, or last episode we talked about, or 2 episodes ago was the Carnival Christmas. So Santa's a Fat B was on this album. So, but you said something interesting about the liner notes. Tell me about this, Snax. I like this thing you figured out.
Yeah, so the liner notes in the original re-release are much more brief. The original Forgotten Freshness is much more brief. The newer ones we love just because they tell funny stories about the song, but back then, much more simple and to the point. And and last episode, we were wondering did that Christmas release, was that referred to as Carnival Christmas when it first came out? And we didn't think it was because we didn't have any evidence that it was. But in this, the original liner notes of Forgotten Freshness in 1995, they actually referred to the EP that this song was on as Carnival Christmas. So that kind of puts that mystery, I guess, to bed.
So, Snax, question. Can I borrow a spatula? Because my wig just got blown across the back of the green screen here. That's crazy.
Those Hatchet Chat trivia nuggets that we're dropping.
And it's because it said X-Mas ICP on the original, which you can see. Here's the cover of the original. Boom. And then here is the Carnival Christmas that we all know and love. Boom. Yeah. So that's what's up. Okay, moving on. Next track, Clown Love from Shaggy's F Off EP. Check it out. I didn't realize this, but this is crazy, dude. Today I was like, whoa, I got to tell Snax about this. The end, he shouts out Project Born, PJB. But Born Dead hadn't dropped when F Off came out. Maybe they were working on it, but that's cool. He's talking about other sets. Did you remember that? Did you remember that?
No, that's dope, though. Yeah, you're right. That would have came out before, so they must have been either working together or down by that time. That's actually really cool. That's dope.
And from our assiduous chronology, we know that it was 2 albums before because Shaggy and then Carnival Christmas, then Project Born. So that's what's up. Right. Good job, Shaggy, shouting out your homies.
That's right.
All right, Dog Beats. This is the title track off the Dog Beats EP. This was also on the Island, Forgotten Freshness 1 and 2. I don't know if you remember this or if we talked about it. ODB says, are the dogs in the house? And guess what? ODB would work with ICP. Not only on 1 song, but 2. So that's
absolutely
funny. That's what's up.
And later on, Great Malenko, we'll talk about this, I'm sure, when we get to the album. They actually wanted to get George Clinton on Hocus Pocus, but that didn't work. So Violent J ended up doing his vocal parts. But like all, I think, rap, it's definitely inspired by, the funk of George Clinton.
Clown dog. What does he say? Malenko right. Dog. Yes, what's up? I would love to hear a tape of George Clinton doing that. I wonder why they didn't include it. This is a tangent, but that's what Hatchet Chat is about. Bringing you the tangents you like. Why did George Clinton, why did they knock him out the box on that flavor?
I think it was I don't know if it was a matter of recording quality or just the vocal take quality. I think he said it just didn't sound that great because they had his takes, but they ended up just redoing it.
Carnival of Carnix.
Yeah, another Carnival of Carnix situation.
Oh, that was a joke for the Juggalos. All right, Southwest Strangla. So this is the only track I didn't really know that well. I wanted to note the beat sounds a lot suspiciously like the Mr. Johnson's Head remix. I feel like it's even the same beat, but talk to me about that, Snax, because you know a lot about this track.
Oh, it's such a good song. I think this is indicative of the point that you made before, where songs that come out on a compilation, can become a big part of the Juggalo canon, so to speak. Because Southwest Strangler is a classic. It's a Shaggy solo song. It was originally going to be on the Shaggy full-length album that was being promoted at the time that he did the F Off EP. What
was the album going to be called, Snax?
Shags the Clown.
Okay, I'm glad you dropped that trivia.
For sure. And this is going to be on that album, and that album didn't pan out, but we got this song on this release, and it's so good, and right now it's a Juggalo classic, and to this day, we call Shaggy, one of his aliases is the Southwest Strangler to this day.
And Jay is the Duke of the Wicked.
That's right.
That's what's up. The intro, check it out. I learned this on Wikipedia. Shout out to nonprofit amalgamation of data. That the quote about there was an actual plane crash on the highway in Detroit and fools were looting it. While they're trying to get the people out of the fire and figure out what happened. Fools were stealing jewelry and stuff. So they sampled that at the beginning.
Yeah.
Dark.
Yeah, I guess they were going because like I guess they just wanted an overall chaotic vibe because I noticed that too. Like it's just like a crazy event that happened, but it doesn't really have to do with like a serial killer like the character that Shaggy is playing. But I guess they were just going for like a chaotic theme and wanted that news clip.
And I wanted to talk about this real quick. Jay does this character where he's Shags the Clown, the Strangler, about to be on death row, apologizing, asking for redemption. And I asked you, I was texting you like, yo, Brian, who is this, Legs Diamond? You're like, no, it's Jay. I'm like, that fool is versatile with his tonality, his timbre.
Oh, for sure. I do that with my friends sometimes, like who aren't super into ICP. I'll just be like play a random song, be like, oh yeah, you hear this guy? That's the same as this guy, just to blow their mind with how much they can, change their voices and stuff.
And your friends are like, look, Snax, I'm gonna have to borrow that spatula again because both of my wigs.
Exactly. They have two wigs, most of my friends.
multiple times. There is this thing in like criminal history where they get a last meal before death row. And so Jay asked for a fat 2-liter of Faygo for his death row meal, which is very on brand. And also, like, if you're about to die, it's kind of crazy because the food doesn't have much use. It's just more of a gustatory, like, celebration of your final time. I mean, I don't know. It's just, there's websites that show killers' last meals. And so I just thought I'd mention that. It's dark, dude. It's dark.
Yeah, it is dark. But I've thought about that many times. Like, how could you really enjoy a last meal? You know what I mean? Like, just knowing what's going to come. But maybe if you're that ruthless, you're on death row, maybe you don't have the same emotional, anxieties that we would.
I heard, what is it? Someone said, just ask for a trip to the buffet, and then you never have to go because you just eat.
That's right.
Hey, okay, so Wagon Wagon was originally called something else. What's good with this track?
Hey Vato, another classic, like you said, it got reworked into Wagon Wagon. You can hear that in the main horn, like brass samples on this song. But also, I think a lot of like the vocal stylings, and I'm not the only one to observe this, got worked into Who Asked You on the Ringmaster. So like the liner notes for Forgotten Freshness say it got worked into Wagon Wagon, but I think a lot of the ideas also got used for another track on Ringmaster.
Did they change the verse? So Hey Vato has different verses than Wagon Wagon? It does, because Wagon Wagon is about the actual car, right?
That's right. Yeah, absolutely.
So what is it? The other one, Who Asked You? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Who Asked You on Ringmaster. I think like a lot of the vocal like stylings. I don't know if there's any actual lyrics taken from it, but it sounds like a very similar style of like verses.
And Vato is Spanish for homie, for man. It's a slang term for that. So yeah, interesting. Very interesting to see them working and see that they were kind of like very carefully keeping their archives as they develop everything, and that Mikey Clark or their production team did a good job of archiving everything and like saving stuff. It's interesting, man, because you don't normally get a look into other artists' deep development like this, of this era.
Exactly.
That's what's up. So track 3, Life at Risk. Track 3 from Dog Beats, which didn't make it onto Forgotten Freshness Volume 1 and 2, is Life at Risk. Let's talk about this jam.
Man, it's actually such a good song. It's one of the like slower songs off of Dog Beats, a bit more introspective, and it's got that dope sample from The Wiz, as you had mentioned in your original Dog Beats Hatchet chat. And I think Jay does a good job of capturing the overall emotion of like a kind of a depressing look at life in a tough neighborhood. And
this song has an Ice Cube sample, and I recently did a podcast with George from Magic Ninja, who used to book The Gathering, and he booked the year Ice Cube played. They paid Ice Cube $1 million to play The Gathering, allegedly, which is like a way to give back to their hero. But in some sort of way, I feel like it's a karmic thing where like they sampled him on this song. Psychopathic Riders has a lot of Ice Cube beats. Like it's a way of them, like when they paid Mick Foley a bunch of money to be in Big Money Hustlers, is a way to give him back afterwards. To Stranglemania. Yeah, like that's like okay, they pay their heroes back after they rip them off. I think that's cool. Exactly. That's fine. Yeah, they made good at the end. And Terry Funk. Why? Okay, Fat Sweaty Betty. 2 things about this song. Number 1, I was curious why it's not on Tunnel of Love, and number 2, I feel like it's got a transphobic ending where Shag realizes that it's actually Fat Sweaty Betty is a transgender woman and becomes like disgusted by that. It's not a very, I don't know, it's not a very woke song.
No,
but it's
definitely not the most sensitive song.
It's catchy. But yeah, this song was one of the first ICP songs I heard. I was like, oh, I don't know if I like this group because I don't think it's funny to make fun of women, to make fun of fat people, and to make fun of transgender people. I don't know. I'm not trying to be a social justice warrior on this, but I think it's like worth pointing out where ICP has misstepped because Jay and Shaggy will also agree that like some of this stuff hasn't aged well. But let's talk about this song. I don't want to judge. I don't want to just be too judgmental.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like and like you said, definitely uses women, and even at the end there the possible transphobia thing as a punchline. But it's interesting.
That's not ICP, tight. We just need to go on record saying that's not tight. Yeah,
not tight. But and not to make any excuses for that, because like you said, they don't make excuses for a lot of the stuff that doesn't kind of translate well in this day and age. But ICP is always interesting because even though like their music might poke fun at certain things, like overall I think their message is like, even from the beginning, like a very body positive message overall, because they've always been like had the fat kid love thing and stuff like that. So but like you said, this song is not so much sensitive in that matter, but it was originally going to be on the Riddle Box because it was given out to people who wore face paint at the Mental Warp shows in 1995. The single was the Fat Sweaty Betty single, and it was promoted in the single liner notes that it was going to be on the Riddle Box, but it didn't make it to the Riddle Box, as you said. But like you said, it would fit in really well with Tunnel of Love. So I don't know why it didn't make it on there. If it was because it was on the Forgotten Freshness, because Forgotten Freshness probably would have been out at that time. So.
Well, Forgotten Freshness came out in 97, though, the island version. So it would have been a small subsect of people who heard it.
That's true. Only a few people would have heard it. So, yeah, that's probably, I don't know if that's a great reason either. But it would have fit pretty good on Tunnel of Love for sure.
And the Fat Sweaty Betty single came out, is Psychopathic Catalog number 11, which would have been the one came out right after Project Born and before this, so obviously they wanted to include it. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting why. Maybe it's a sample thing. I don't know.
Might be. The production on the song is amazing.
Yeah, it's very catchy. And at the end, where Jay lists, it's just how nutty that dude is, listing what he wants to feed her and singing it. It just goes on. It's like one of the things I like about ICP, but most people probably don't, is they'll take a joke and they will just beat it to death. It's like, I'll give you chicken and a Faygo Pop. I'll give you chicken and turkey and pizza and Burger King. It's like a kid. I don't know. It's like it's ridiculous.
Honestly, it's not like the only time. Like, there's actually kind of a theme with ICP that they kind of like have a preference for, more voluptuous women. Like, and that like you keep seeing that. I don't know if I don't think they just do it as just for the sake of being funny.
For lols.
Because it seems to be a pretty like consistent thing that they use as far as their characters go.
So could this be an anti-body shaming song saying that all body types are beautiful?
I don't know if we could go. I'd love to be able to say yes. I don't know with the lyrics of the song if we could go that far.
Okay, well, let me ask you something, Snax, about the next track called "Ask You Somethin." Hey,
yes.
So absolutely. this was not on the Island re-release. This is the final song of the 4 from this that weren't on the re-release. 4, right, or 3?
I think 3. I think 3. Life at Risk, Ghetto Zone, and Ask You Somethin.
Snax with the knowledge. Ask You Somethin is the outlier because that wasn't on Dog Beats, and that was supposed to be on Carnival of Carnage, and then it came out on the Incredible Collectible Collection, which came out later.
Right. That's right. Years later.
Talk to me about this song. What's it a remake of?
It's a remake of, I got to wrote down Clarence
Carter.
Thank you. Yes. And it's like a remake / cover. In the liner notes of the Incredible Collection, Viola J refers to it as a ripoff because it is basically just the same song with like different lyrics, almost like similar to a Weird Al parody, but the content is just like a more explicit version of the original song. So Yeah, and like you said, it was originally going to be on Carnival Carnage, which I think that's hard for all juggalos to imagine, because I certainly can't imagine that.
Yeah, I don't know. I remember I got it as MP3 from Napster back in the day, and it was called IBFN was the title. I don't like it. I think it's it's corny and not. It's not one of my favorites. But they're having fun. But I think
that's right.
It's not one of their best songs. Just being honest, they have a lot of great songs. To me, this is it's like very adolescent and whatever. I don't know the original. Maybe I don't get the satirical depth of the original because I'm not familiar with the original, so I don't get the parody.
When you hear the original, I don't think it's going to open your eyes to any major stroke of genius in this song. Major,
I be stroking.
Yeah, that's right.
Holler. No, but what? Okay, so moving on. 3 Rings. So let's talk about what was this originally on and where did it originally appear? Holler.
Absolutely. So it was on, of course, the Shaggy 2 Dopes F Off EP. The 4-track version, it was the last song, of course. And then, of course, it ended up making it on what we're going to be doing the next episode on, the 3rd Joker's card, the Riddle Box. And to this day, it's an absolute classic from that era.
Here's a question for you, though. This is the version from Shaggy's album, and then it got changed a bit for Riddle Box, or the 3 versions of it? Or this one version?
Because I only have a digital copy of the original Forgotten Freshness.
Okay.
So unless whoever compiled that just put the Riddle Box version on there, I think that this was actually the changed one that would eventually be on the Riddle Box. Cool. But if any juggalos know different, let us know. Because like I said, I just have a digital version, and that could have just been swapped out.
The version I have also has at the beginning Jump Steady calling in and freestyling badly, I don't know if that's the version for Mutilation Mix. Let's wrap it up with the first ever Hallowicked single that ended on this. It's called Dead Pumpkins, and tell us why this makes the compilation so dope. Snax.
So this is like a perfect example because, like you had said, ICP always did these special single re-releases. We talked about Fat Sweaty Betty, and of course, Dead Pumpkins is the first single for the first Hallowicked. And a tradition they've carried on since. They always release a single for the Hallowicked shows. And 1994 was the year that they did this. And if you missed that show back then, unless you were able to dub cassettes or something, you weren't going to be able to look that song up on YouTube or something. You weren't going to be able to hear it. And this compilation gave you the opportunity to play the song whenever you wanted. And Dead Pumpkins is an insanely good song, very dark, almost reminiscent of some of the slower, darker songs you'd find at the end of Riddle Box, and overall just a dope song.
What Jive Records executive came to see the first Hallowicked, and how did this lead to a new step in ICP's career? Because this is an interesting jump-off point for our next episode.
Absolutely. So Violent J states in Behind the Paint that Jeff Fenster came out to the Hallowicked 94 show of Jive, Jeff Fenster of Jive. And of course, that would eventually lead to the signing. And I think he says that it was Too Short's people that, or maybe Too Short himself, that tossed the word on to Jeff Fenster because they did those shows in the Midwest together. And I guess they seen how big of a following ICP had. But like you said, that led to the signing of Jive. And that means that we're, as we've mentioned, gonna be getting to the Riddle Box.
And I think if you're an okay rapper but really good at marketing, that's how you have a 20-year long career. And I don't want to talk about my own career, but I feel like I learned a lot from that. I'm not a battle rapper, MC, whatever, Eminem type of rapper, but I love branding and I love social media. I love designing my art. And so that is very influential to me. You don't have to be the best, but if you're the best version of yourself, that's how you get it popping. That's why we hope anyone who watches these Hatchet chats, who has any dreams, any independent hustle, anything they want to create, we hope you can learn that if you don't give up, doors open. And I think that's the biggest lesson we can get from ICP. And I think the first Forgotten Freshness is a testament to this because, as you said, there are six other editions, 7?
Yeah, there's 6 now, I believe, 6.
You can't forget that. And isn't there one? Wait, isn't there? Then there's a Halloween one though. Which is that part of it?
Well, I think there's a Forgotten Freshness 4 came with a Halloween Hallowicked compilation with it, and then there was a separate Hallowicked compilation, I think, for the 20th anniversary of Hallowicked. But there is featuring Freshness, which so you're right. So that would be 7 if you included that. Because featuring Freshness.
But that came out after. But Forgotten Freshness 6 came out last year.
Yeah, that was really recent. And it was only released, I think, as like a VIP package or like as far as the physical copies.
Wait, so you mean there's Forgotten Freshness 6 and then featuring Freshness, which would be like 5.5, I guess?
Yeah.
Right? Or something like that?
Well, I guess with featuring Freshness, that would make 7 in total, unless you count the OG Forgotten Freshness and the re-release as 2 separate as well. Then you're looking at 8, but... Yeah, there's a lot of Forgotten Freshness for us to enjoy.
Featuring Freshness was 2011, and then 2013 was Forgotten Freshness 5.
Could be. I don't know the exact year. That sounds right, though.
That's okay. We'll get into it. That's what's up. So there's a lot of flavor. I also want to make a correction for all the juggalos at home who are fans of Welsh mythology books. Lloyd Alexander wrote the Prydain Chronicles, not the Prydain Chronicles. I mispronounced it. And even though this was made into The Black Cauldron, a Disney movie, which lost a lot of money for the studio, and was the movie that came out between Michael Eisner and the previous president's running of Disney, it was used because the popularity of this book helped bring animators from CalArts to Disney, but then the movie lacks some of the charm of the book and has certain scenes taken out. The Black Cauldron was a movie that was hard for Disney to come back from. Snax, what movie brought Disney back on top with the box office flavor?
I believe if I know you're referring to the one and only Roger Rabbit.
Oh, great movie, but we don't need to get into that right now. Well, thank you all for tuning in. Next week we're talking about Ringmasters, follow-up Joker's card, Riddle Box. Y'all thought I was going to say next week we're talking about Ringmaster. No, we're talking about the follow-up, which was the third Joker's card, Riddle Box. Snax, what was the first ICP album you got into that you discovered?
The Wraith, actually. The Wraith Shangri-La. I got into it the summer after it came out.
So y'all thought this was going to be a short episode. We're not sorry if we tricked you. It's long.
That's right.
Okay, well... Thanks for tuning in. Forgotten Freshness, OG Original. I'm MC Lars.
I'm MC Snax.
Check our music out. We have a collab we did that's coming out soon. And Snax made the beat. He does good beats. All right, y'all. Have a good time. And remember, wear a mask and don't spread COVID and trust science. And but we don't have to talk about that right now. But for real, Biden 2020. Peace. Bye.
Much clown love.